Hello and welcome to Shop Talk with Dan the Man. In today's video we're going to talk about this. This is RIDGID's cordless framing nailer. They do have an air automated one, so you need a tank for that, but this is strictly the battery and nails. You don't need anything else to operate this. So stay tuned to find out more.
Hello, if you're new to this channel, my name is Dan Shannon. I enjoy woodworking as a hobby and being out in the shop. On this channel, dive deep into my shop as we explore tools and tool reviews, as well as chatting about everything related to woodworking. If this grabs you by the tool belt, please subscribe to my channel if you want more videos like this.
Hello and welcome to Shop Talk with Dan the Man. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, thanks for coming back. Today's video, we're going to dive into this. This is RIDGID's cordless framing nailer, and this is model number R09895. And this is their framing nailer. It's an 18 volt, and it takes fasteners 2-inch to 3.5 inch. What does that mean exactly? That is the nail size. So you can go from a 2-inch nail in this sleeve to a 3.5 inch nail. So we'll get into that a little bit later on. I have some pass load nails that we'll try out in the hands-on. But first, we're going to jump into the features. So, you know, top to bottom, what does this thing offer for features? It's been out for numerous years now, so it's not a new product on the market. But if you are looking into a framing nailer, whether it's for a business or just personal use, which is my case, personal use, how does it hold up? So we'll go over the features top to bottom, and then we'll jump into some hands-on. So how does this actually work with different types of nails? I got two types here, two different sizes. So how does it handle? And then we'll jump into some final thoughts. So my use with this, how did I like it? How did it handle? Did it jam at all? You know, etc. So we'll jump into that with the final thoughts. All right, so let's jump into features. Okay, so let's jump into the features on this particular nailer. So you're going to notice, we'll start with the tip here. There is this shoe. This is removable, so it's a softer plastic. So if you're doing like trim work, it's very soft on the wood, so it won't dent it as bad. But if you're doing framing, this simply pops off, and you can see there it's a spiked edge. So that'll grip your 2x6, 2x4, whatever you're using for your framing. So it's great that RIDGID has that, just pops off. There's a metal band around the edge that kind of is spring-loaded and keeps it on there when you're not, when you're using it, and when you're not using it, it just pops off. So I'll leave that off for now. Here is your adjustment. So this is your depth adjustment. So depending on the head of the nail, you can raise it or lower it with this ring. So that's a great feature as well, depending on how high you want the head of the nail to stick out. And as you see on the front, you know, this is a large unit. There is some adjustments, some Allen key adjustments here. So if you wanted to get a longer magazine piece to slide on, they make extended versions of the same thing. You can just undo that, slide this off, and then put a new one on. There's a little bit more screws on the inside that you have to deal with, but it is interchangeable. I would recommend checking the user's manual for full details on that. If you do have a jam on this gun, there is a way to release that I would recommend just backing out the nail sleeve first, clearing it, and then trying to access it from the inside. But you can take this apart if you need to gain access on that. Backside, it just says 30, so that's your degree. It's got some caution information. You know, read your user's manual, wear eye protection, careful for your hands, etc. So it's just kind of an information thing. You do have a rafter hook here, so if you're on the job site you need to hang this up, and I found this very useful. I was up on the ladder and I was able to hang this up on the ladder like that when I wasn't using it. So very useful feature on this is this rafter hook. And then if we flip it over, you know, on the back side or the other side, you know, it just says RIDGID on the front top. It says brushless, so that's just markings all over the unit, not really anything important. Of course, once you get into your nails, if we flip it to the front side there's information. It's got the model number, nail size, and then it has shank, so that is your thickness of your nail, so the diameter of your nail. So what is the max roundness for the nails, and all that is your striking head on the inside. It comes down and takes the nail. If it's too thick, it'll jam, so that's why they recommend certain sizes for that. This other bracket here, this is for your pants if you wanted to put it on your belt, or you know, while you're walking around. You know, it's handy. This is a pretty heavy gun, so I don't know if I would put it on my belt so much, but I do like the rafter hook option. Then on the inside, you notice here, this is your shooting burst mode. So depending on what you're doing, a single nail or burst mode. So all that means is when you pull the trigger, you do a single fire, or if you have it on burst mode or rapid fire would be the better term. You can just hold the trigger and then just kind of run it along the board, and you'll release multiple nails at once instead of a single fire shot. So the back side, that is where you mount your battery, so just your battery shoe. It just slides on very easy, just like a standard RIDGID. Snaps on and you're all set. Pull it back off again. Easy to load and unload nails, very straightforward. Right now I have almost a full sleeve in there, but if you wanted to take those out, you can just back this off. There is, if you slide it, there is a stop. So on the inside, I don't know if you can see that, there's a piece of metal that's pushed up. So in order to take the nails all the way out, it kind of stops there. You got to push that in and then slide the nails all the way out, so to change them. This also has a stop bracket. So when you're, I'll show you in a second here. So you take the nails out. When you first put the nails in, so loading, so this is empty right now. If you're loading a sleeve, you just slide it in the end here, line it up with the track, and this is always where your nail head goes in the top. It doesn't go at any other spot, so just line it up there. Make sure the 30-degree angle is this way, so slanted. And if you're not sure, you can always line it up with the head to see where that needs to be. If it was put in this way, obviously that would be the wrong angle, and you definitely can't put it upside down because the head slot, it just won't work. So yeah, you just line that up, take a full sleeve, slide it forward, and then you pull this back all the way, and there will be a little tab in here that'll grab the nails and put them into place. And then when you're done and you want to load more, you just press this tab again, and it kind of unlocks the nails. There's basically a metal plate that goes in behind the nail section and pulls it ahead. It's a little hook, and it pulls it feeds the nails into the the head of the gun. So that's very important, especially if you're firing multiple nails. You want to keep even pressure on this to have it feed proper. So that's a good, as far as I'm concerned, a good setup that RIDGID had for their nail gun. And this is also the safety stop. So once your nails get to the end and there's no more left, or maybe there's 2 or 3 left, this will actually touch this and then it will turn the gun off. So you'll have a red light telling you need to reload your nails. So yeah, that's it for the features on this gun. If you want more information, you can grab your manual and dive into that. Maybe you want to do some upgrades. Like I said, swap this out for a longer one. And when it comes to nails, the sizes I've used is 3/4. This is pass load nails that I've used, and I've also used 2-inch nails in this gun. This pass load brand, I don't mind them. They're not the best. I've actually used a better brand than this as far as less jamming, but it does work well. So let's jump into the hands-on now, and I will show you how this gun works, how it shoots the nails, etc. Let's jump into that now. Okay, so here we are in the hands-on. I have the nails put in the gun. Just wanted to go over something for just a minute. So got my nails in the gun. I'm using pass load brand. These are the 30 degree. So when you buy anything for this nail gun, make sure it's the 30 degree, and all that it is the angle that it slides in before it gets shot by the gun. So this is a 30 degree, and this is 3 1/4. So this takes 3.5-inch max. So 3 1/4 is what I'll be using. And you can buy these at any Home Depot or probably a hardware store. And there's different brands, so do some research. This pass load is kind of a generic brand. A lot of people use them for framing buildings. So we'll just take our battery, slide our battery on. And what I have here to demonstrate, I have a 6x6 block. So we're going to fire in a couple shots into that. I can show you kind of how it handles bigger material. And then I have some 1x6 fencing. So we'll just actually this 1/2 inch by 6 inch fencing. So we'll just fire a few into here. And then I have a 2x4. So we'll fire a few into this. So I'll just kind of show you, you know, kind of how it handles. I'd recommend using ear protection when you're using this nailer, because it is fairly loud. So I'll just put that on now. Then we have a block of wood. This light says green. This is your LED light indicating green, good to go. If it's red and blinking, it means you have a jam or some issue. All right, let's fire a few in. So as you can see there, these are sticking up a fair bit. So I just want to double check my depth gauge here. Make sure we're all the way down on that. Make sure this shoe is planted. I'm actually going to take this off because I'm doing framing, so I want to use the spikes on the end. If you're doing something that requires a little bit softer of wood, you'll want to use this little boot so you don't mark the edges. All right, so let's sink a few more. They're CA, so they're chrisocanada.com. So they're just kind of a generic brand. And I'm very happy with these nails. They're quite a bit different. I'll show you up close. They're quite a bit different.
So I should mention right there, the crisp air nails are made from high tensile steel. and the pass load nails are same. They're made from high steel, but they're also dipped and galvanized, so they won't rust as easy when you're doing some outside projects such as decks and different things that would have moisture constantly. The other thing to note here is the difference between clipped heads versus round heads. A lot of people aren't sure. The round heads are a full headed nail, whereas the clip heads have a piece missing. And why would you want one versus the other? Well, depending on your building codes, the full head is good for tornado areas that have high winds that need extra strength, whereas a clipped head still holds well, but not as well. And depending on the building codes where you live, you'll need to use one versus the other. The other difference is if you're using a air nailer, in this case we're using a battery powered air nailer. This needs the clipped head. RIDGID does recommend in their manual used a clipped head nail. That is for the hammer that strikes the nail. It needs a smaller location to pinpoint the nail, whereas a full head usually get jammed up in the gun. So consult your user's manual for the difference for your particular nail gun. Now, the pneumatic nail guns that I've used in the past that I've had air hoses hooked up to, I could use either or, round head or clipped. So just understand the differences between the two before you use your air nailer and whether or not it's recommended for your air nailer. I did run into some issues earlier on using a full head with this RIDGID versus a clipped head. It seemed to jam more often and run into some issues. Comment down below if you have a RIDGID air nailer or if you have a pneumatic one, and what you use for nails and how that works in your particular nailer.
But I'll slide these in and I'll show you how these work. Just remove the nails from the gun. Okay, so all the nails are out. Just double check. Yep. Slide in these right way. All set. So, put my safety glasses back on. Hearing protection. And I'll just show you these nails that I prefer more. Okay, CA nails. So as you can see there, it put those in no problem, buried them very good.
So here is myself building with this framing nailer the floor for my kids' playhouse / treehouse. So I'm using the nailer to nail in all the boards. It worked very well, very efficiently. I didn't run into any issues with it snaring up or having any jamming. It was very smooth in this process. Here I am using the spikes, framing in the walls for this treehouse / playhouse. It worked very well. Everything went very smooth. As you can see here, I'm setting up the walls, and here is a picture of all the walls set up.
Thanks for watching today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed the features hands-on, and now we're at the final thoughts of this nail gun. So would I recommend this as a product to purchase? I'm going to say yes, and the main reason I'm going to say yes is because it does the job exactly how it's intended. I didn't run into any issue. I did mention with the pass load nails that they did jam the odd time when I was running, especially like very hard wood. So I was running a 4x4 that was quite old, and it seemed to make the nail kind of snare a little bit as I was running the nailer along it. So I'm not sure if that's a combination of knots, old wood that's been around a long time that's harder than some of the newer 2x6 that you'd buy at the store. It might be a combination of the nails and that. But at the end of the day, it works phenomenal. Like I said, I just had a few issues with the nails, and I think that's kind of standard on any framing nailer. I've used air ones in the past for years, building boxes at a factory, and those two had issues. Usually the tip, after a while, striking non-stop, the tip would come loose and there was a little Allen key you had to tighten. So that was just an adjustment that you needed to do with the air one that I used for years. But that one held up really well. But the main issue, or the main, not issue, but the main goal with this one is to have it cordless. No wires, no hoses off the back side of it. So when you're running, in a job site, you don't have that. Now, the only con I will mention is that, if you're doing a whole house, for example, you might run through a fair bit of batteries, but I did find the battery life pretty good. I went through probably, 8 sleeves and nails on a battery, and I believe that was a 4 amp hour. It's possible it was the 6 at the time. I didn't really look down to see what the battery was, but it was at least a 4 amp hour rather, that I used. And yeah, it threw the nails in the wood no problem. There is a LED light, which we mentioned in the features, that turns red when it jams. So there's no issue. It's not going to like randomly fire on you. There's a safety here, so you press it down until the safety is fully present, meaning the shoe is all the way up, then it will fire off the nail. So good safety on this gun. I never once worried that it was going to do a random fire. Of course, always wear your safety glasses to prevent any eye injury if there was a ricochet or anything. But yeah, I would recommend this nailer to anyone that's looking into a product. Now, they do have other types of nailers out there. There's different degrees. This is the 30 degree, it says on the front here, 30 degree. And the main reason for that, I mentioned in the features, was to getting tight to something. So if it's a 15 degree, 30 degree, that'll change how close you can get into something, because your nails in the sleeve will actually be on a different pivot point. So depends on what you're doing. Everything boils down to the job you have and also what you're doing. So me, this is a hobby. I don't do this for a living. So at the end of the day, this is a perfect nail. I want to do a shout out to Adam Ward. I'll put his website down below. He builds homes, does renovations, does all types of things. He's the one that gave me this nail gun. He was using it on the job site. They did some upgrades for a lot of their tools, and he was willing to part with this for me, and I was able to use it for projects around the home. So shout out to Adam Ward, a longtime friend of mine. I see him more like family over the years. And yeah, thanks, Adam. You have any questions about renovations, or if you have a job coming up that you need someone, a company to tackle, he's your man for that. So I'll leave his website, like I said, down below, and you can contact him directly. Well, thanks for watching today's video. Hopefully you learned a little bit about this nail gun. Thanks for joining me. And if you haven't already and you'd like to be part of the Shop Talk family, please click on the subscribe link down below. We'd love to have you on board. It's not just tool reviews. We talk about woodworking, shop in general. So yeah, we'd like to have you on board. And thanks for watching and have yourself a great day.